This is Positive Moments with Jean Walters Lucy, personal growth consultant, teacher, author, and lecturer. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another Positive Moments with Jean Walters Lucy. I'm Richard Miller, and today's show is called Perseverance. Now here's Jean.
It is a rare and unusual person who never experiences discouragement. Whomever it happens to, the answer centers around perseverance. The value of determination, vision, and courage has never been demonstrated more completely than in the life of Abraham Lincoln. This is his track record. He failed in business twice, defeated in his run for the legislature twice. His sweetheart died. He had a nervous breakdown. He was defeated for speaker, elector, and for Congress 3 times, and he was finally elected to Congress. Then he was defeated for Congress, the Senate, and the vice presidency. At age 52, he was elected President of the United States. If you have experienced discouragement and failure, you can try these steps. Make failure work for you. Define and learn the lessons that failure can teach you. Ask yourself, how can I use this situation to enrich myself, make myself better, stronger, or more creative? 2. Actively follow through on every good idea you get. Continue following it until you A. decide it's not what you want, B. you achieve success. 3. Set clear, precise, definite goals. Avoid vagueness. The more definite your goals, the clearer you will be on how to achieve them. 4. Contemplate what you really desire. Plot your course to success in the same way that you plot a destination on a map. 5. Set up the steps to reach your goal and be willing to pay the price of success. If being an understudy will help, then do it. If acquiring more education is in order, then do that. 6. Take each step one at a time. 7. Never fear taking a risk toward your dream. Consider every failure a step to success. Thomas J. Watson, the founder of IBM, provided a simple formula for success in his words, double your rate of failure. It is a common mistake to think of failure as an enemy of success, but it isn't at all. Failure is a teacher. A harsh one, perhaps, but the best. You can be discouraged by failure or you can learn from it. So go ahead and make mistakes. Make all you can, because remember, that's where you're going to find success, on the far side of failure. If you are willing to learn from failure, you'll go pretty much where you want to go. This is Jean Walters Lucy, personal growth consultant. And if you have a comment or question concerning this show or any personal growth topic, I would love to hear from you. You can contact me a couple different ways. One is my website, which is spiritualtransformation.com, or call me at 314-991-8439. I'd love to hear from you.
Well, Jean, we already have our first caller for today's show, and this is Joan. Hello, Joan.
Hi, how are you?
Joan, hi. I'm glad you called. What can we do for you?
Well, Abraham Lincoln's perseverance and the quote about doubling your failure rate is very encouraging, and I would really like to learn from my failures. I want to take that high road and be positive, but getting started after, say a big financial setback, I just get stuck and scared.
It sounds like it's fear-based thinking. It's you get caught in fear. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And especially when money comes into play, it seems like that's when people really that's more the button for a lot of people than anything else is the money. And sometimes it's hard to raise yourself, but you have to, because the only way to go on is to sort of raise your energy back. And one thing you can do to quickly do that is to think of all the good things that you have going on in your life, to start appreciating what you already have. Because once you start raising your energy, you start thinking more, that'll help you get more optimistic right off the bat. And that'll also clear your mind. And then you'll begin to be able to have more ideas about what's what to do next, how to proceed from here. But as long as you're down there in that fear-based thinking and really scared, your mind sort of locks up and nothing happens. I mean, you don't get any ideas that are going to help you move forward. So that's one thing you can do to start remembering all the things that you have going in your life that are so wonderful and magnificent and that you appreciate so much, and to make that shift so that you can begin to be creative again. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I sometimes go to a show.
Yeah, that's good.
Get my mind off of it. It's when I come out of the show, it's there.
Yeah, you still have to face it. But again, your mind belongs to you. And there was a fellow in the concentration camp. Right now, his name's not available to me. But and he said, no matter what the Germans were doing to him, no matter what was happening, he had control over his mind. And as long as he could think about what it was like being back home and how wonderful it was being with his wife and so forth, then he felt that he had hope alive, and they could. That's one thing they could never take from him. Well, the interesting thing is that he got out. He was one of the few people that survived it. So I think the lesson there is that you do have control over your mind, and you have to take control of your mind. And you can go, oh, I don't have this, and I'm, I lost this much money, or I don't have that. And you just simply cannot allow yourself to wallow at that place. You can't. It'll be very destructive if you do that. So you've got to take some pains and some extra, energy and just push yourself into a higher place. I think Rich has a comment. Did you?
Yes, Jean and Joan, hello.
Yes.
I was thinking also that I have discovered that the mind is sort of like a muscle in that it works well if you exercise it. In other words, somebody can give you a technique like Jean just has, and sometimes people may try something a little bit and say, well, I don't know if it worked or not. But I've found that if you get a technique that appeals to you and it seems to work, you need to stick with it for a while, and then it works better and better as time goes on. And you exercise your mind just as well as you exercise your body, and it will produce better and more effective results.
Good point. Yeah. So what would it be like, Joan, to really have all the money you needed and all the money you wanted?
Well, what would it feel like?
Yeah.
Well, it would feel safe and fun and light.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what if you spent 5 minutes a day just for fun, just to see if this works, 5 minutes a day feeling safe and joyful and having fun doing something and just feeling in that high state of energy?
Okay. Practice like that.
Yeah, just practice, and see what happens. See if what I'm telling you makes sense. See if it's true, because I'm banking on. I know that it is, but maybe you don't yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll give it a try.
Thanks a lot, Joan.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yes, practice, as you mentioned, it was the same thing that I was talking about too. Is some of these things you kind of need to stick with, like an exercise program. You get going and you maybe stop after a while and
I did it 3 times.
Yes.
I'm still I haven't lost all my weight.
Yeah, you got to get back on that exercise bike, and you got to, especially there's so many things in the world that, like you talked about, fear.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to be afraid if you want.
Yes.
And
you can get hooked so easy.
We are constantly attacked, and like the dripping of water, or some people may think of much more violent, but we always have to protect ourselves, and we always have to constantly, just adapting an idea or an attitude is not enough. We need to have to support it and reinforce it.
And if you think of it in terms of I am transforming myself, I am transforming my mind, I am transforming my life, then it gives you sort of the scope, the broad scope that we're talking about here, because it's not just about getting more money for right now. It's about really transforming the way you look at life. And that's really what Abraham Lincoln did and Watson did. They looked at life differently, and that's what caused their success. So that's what we have to do.
It's kind of like you're doing something on a computer, and if you don't save it correctly, it pops back to the original condition.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect analogy. I love that.
Yeah, so we got to have to, maybe sometimes we got to go and save our current ideas, or save the images or the way that we want things, and push that mental save button in our heads.
Well, the other thing I've noticed about people in general is they're undisciplined in these matters. They're undisciplined. They might say, okay, I'm going to get up at 7, I'm going to exercise for an hour, and I'm going to eat these kinds of foods and so forth. But when it comes to what they think, they're undisciplined. They haven't, and I think it's important that they discipline their mind too. Like, oh golly, I was negative for a while. I want to switch that, or I was judgmental for. No, I want to switch that. Don't condemn yourself. Just switch it. Just get back into something that's more positive. And it's that kind of discipline that we have to do if we're going to make these transformations.
Jean, here's our second caller, and this is Rick.
Rick, thank you so much for calling today. What can I do for you?
Gene, I'm a big fan of perseverance and persistence in my life. I think it's done a lot of things for me. But what I have trouble with is that sometimes I'm such a bullhead about it that I don't know when to quit. Can you give me some advice on that?
So you'll just keep pounding away, even though it doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere with it?
Right. It's frustrating, and sometimes it costs money and effort and emotional strain.
I think I can understand that. I think I've been there too. One thing I can tell you that when it gets to the point where you're frustrated, it's time to take a break. It's time to back off. And what you want to do is really pay attention to your feelings, because if it's not fun, you're probably not going to go anywhere with it. The idea, for now at least, is dead. Consider it that, because once you take a break from it, and then maybe in a week or whatever it is, you begin to feel more enthusiastic, and your creativity comes back, and you're starting to think of it in different ways, or reshape it, or reframe it, or whatever. Then it's time to get back into the role with it again, and follow up. But if it gets to the point where it's just not fun anymore, and it's just become more frustrating than it is, exciting, then you've kind of used up that road. You're kind of at the end of that road. And if it, the way we know when it's really time to pursue something is how we feel. If we are excited about it, if there's enthusiasm, it's time to go. And if it's really just more of a nuisance than anything, then it's time to stop, at least for the time being, until you get inspired again. Rich, did you have an idea there?
No, not really, although it's an excellent question. When is it a good idea to persevere, and when is it a good idea to bail?
Check it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very excellent question.
Yes. Does that make sense to you, to pay attention to your feelings?
Sure. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that was a lot of help.
Okay, well, good. Well, then, good luck with all your projects.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, he hit on something that is going on in my daughter's life, and that is a situation with one of her coaches. She's an athlete, and he set a certain standard or set a certain rule, and it's proven to be not such a good rule, but he seems to be totally...
He's committed to it,
Yeah,
this rule for her.
Right. It can't back off of it, and it's created some, problems and crazy results, and yet he can't seem to back off of it.
And it really doesn't fit her at all? Is that what you're saying? It doesn't fit who she is?
And he sort of admitted, well, maybe I'm
off here, huh?
Yeah, maybe I made a mistake a little bit, but he still won't, and the funny thing is he shows signs of wanting to do the same, more than a rule, it was a set of standards, things they needed to do, and he seems to be inclined to do it again next year.
Well, it sounds like, one, he hasn't learned his lesson, but also maybe your daughter's lesson in this is to be really clear about what's right for her. And I think in our society, we have not been, it's just not been something that's been, enunciated enough that we pay attention to our own feelings and what's right for us. Not everything isn't right. It's not a generic thing, so we have to watch that.
Well, I think the rightness of this is that she has decided that she doesn't want to play for this coach, and she's going to another school next year.
Well, see, that's perfect then. Actually, that's probably the absolutely perfect outcome for her.
Yeah, so
good for her.
Yeah, it created some kind of craziness, but we philosophically think it's what's
Worked
to be.
Right, yeah.
And what is to be right now is that our time has gone away. And Jean, thanks for another great positive moments.
Well, thank you. It was fun.
This show was called Perseverance. This has been Positive Moments with Jean Walters Lucy, personal growth consultant, teacher, author, and lecturer. If you have comments or questions on any personal growth subject like universal law, dream interpretation, intuition, self-esteem, or self-empowerment, you can reach Jean at her website, www.spiritualtransformation.com. or call 314-991-8439 and leave a message. 314-991-8439. I'm Richard Miller, and we'll see you for your next Positive Moment.